Hello Tarot viewers, welcome to your timeless oracle reading. And our oracle card for today is a little bit interesting. It belongs to the Shaman's Dream Oracle and it is entitled Root Girl, the Disowned Self. When you look at here in the picture, you see a child. I don't know if you can separate the child from the stump of the tree. That stump of the tree is, when you see a tree stump, it is something like something that is growing that was cut off. Something that should have grown, but it was cut off. And when you look at the girl, her hair is disheveled, and it's like roots that are the roots of the tree. They are disheveled, unkempt, and hard. At the same time, the head of the girl is directed downwards as if she is sad, somehow feeling unloved. There is a snake here that coils, and she is in the midst of darkness. She's hidden within the forest. When I think of the Lord girl, I think of our shadow side. That part of our life that makes us cringe when we remember them. And they usually rise up in those moments when you are doing nothing. In those quiet moments when you are just lying down or sitting down, just resting. And suddenly a memory would come to your mind and suddenly you would cringe and you would say, I wish I had not had done that in the past. It makes you feel ashamed. And so it makes you feel ashamed because you feel that if other people would know about it, they will reject you. But it is part of you and you are rejecting it also. If you can deny it, there's a tendency for us to deny it. There are really parts of us, even those who have already evolved, those who have undergone transformation, there's still that part in their life's memories that makes them cringe. And somehow they would wish they would not encounter that. That is our shadow self, the one that is hidden in our subconscious mind and in our quiet moments, in those moments when we are between the dream state and that of consciousness. They sometimes come up. They sometimes even come up in our dreams, and sometimes they come up in symbols that scare us. Usually they say, when we encounter our shadow self in our dreams, it is something that would give us this certain fear that comes deep from within. Because it is that part of ourselves that we couldn't accept. That part of ourselves that we are ashamed to accept. That it is part of us. And if we are to undergo transformation, we need to encounter this root girl, this shadow self of ourselves, to recognize that this part that we are ashamed of is we. It's me. It's you. It is part of us. And it is deprived of love. It is deprived of acceptance. And so it remains in the darkest recesses of our subconscious mind. There, sad, unloved, unembraced. Just try to imagine if you are in that state, you would want to be embraced, you would want to be loved. But there is that part of us that is not loved, not even loved by us sometimes. And this is what we need to learn to embrace. If we are to undergo further transformation in our lives, we need to accept this part of us that we are ashamed to admit, that we have reservations of embracing, of loving. Part of that shadow work is learning to embrace that part of ourselves and accept, this is me. To tell the root girl, you are me, I am you, and I love me, and because I love me, I love you too. And I accept you as part of me. It is only by having you as part of my life that I will reach that perfection of my humanity. These dark sides sometimes are parts of yourself that society considers as not acceptable. But sometimes the things that the society rejects are sometimes those things that are really very important. Those things that the universe would like them to accept. Sometimes the things that we deny are also the gifts that are coming from the divine. And the reason why we deny them is because it's not accepted by the society. But then again, by intuition, deep within your heart, deep within your spirit, you feel that there is a certain beauty in that part. Who knows, maybe part of that shadow self is that special song that you are going to sing to the world. Sometimes the experience, painful and shameful and quite unacceptable as they may seem, allows us to grow into a more loving person, a more understanding person, a more accepting person. It is through that experience that we are ashamed of that sometimes we evolve into the butterfly that we are meant to be. And so we need to accept this one, although painful as it is. It's very difficult, and we need the Spirit to guide us in accomplishing this. And sometimes the Spirit sends us people who will help us undergo the process. Those who know why this process happens. Those who know by experience also, not just by knowledge, not just by intellectual knowledge, but by knowledge that comes through experience. And oftentimes, these people that the divine brings us, those who have undergone the same experiences as you, the reason why they are sent into your life is because they too are in the process of learning to embrace their root girl or their shadow self. All of us, if we are going to evolve deeper in our spiritual journey, will need to embrace this shadow girl. And when the divine sends us people in the exterior world to help us, let us welcome them with open arms, because they will teach us how to go about loving, embracing, and finally accepting that shadow part of ourselves. Also, the closer we get to the shadow part, the more open we are to the promptings and the gifts that comes from the divine. Because the shadow self is in that inner part of ourselves where the portal in which we meet the divine is also situated. It is also through our shadow self that we are able to accomplish more things than if we will just rely to our conscious mind. Our shadow self is more oriented with our self-conscious mind, and through the knowledge that our shadow self has experienced, if we learn to allow the shadow self to guide us also, the wisdom that they have to reveal to us, that they wish to reveal to us, might lead us to accomplish greater things in life. At the same time, to accomplish it with humility, with kindness, and with better understanding towards others also who are struggling to learn to embrace even those shadow parts of themselves. Now let us try to read a little bit more from the handbook that accompanies this card, and hopefully we can gain more insights regarding the root girl, or that disowned part of ourselves. The root girl waits for us to embrace her, and part of us want to do so. Root girl, the disowned self, hidden beauty, the need for acceptance and love. Root girl sits shivering, unclean and naked, at the base of the tree of the self. She is unloved, unwanted, and shunned for her deformities. She has no home, but is safe burrowing underground to dwell near the deepest roots of this sacred tree. I think it is our root chakra. Yeah. Who is she to you? Could this urchin be the one part of you that, reintegrated, can lead you to wholeness and true purpose? This is a part of you, the embodiment of a deeply flawed perception of your failures, manifesting as guilt and shame. When you project envy onto others, or any emotion or instinct that you have learned to repress or deemed unnatural, it is this homeless child. It is this homeless child self crying for attention, acceptance, and love. You want to lash out, ignore it, push it aside, all the while refusing to acknowledge this ugly quality as belonging to you. Ah, but if you would only look into the root girl's eyes and see the beauty and the unmet need, your unmet need, you would realize that this part of you asks for your compassion and understanding. This part of you was born when you were wounded and were conditioned to believe you are not whole, that your expression of self is somehow too much or too little. You may have even inherited this creature from your ancestors. However, it was this child self came to be curled up at the roots of your sacred tree self. It is time to welcome her into your heart. When you do, everything you have been searching for becomes illuminated and your path lights up with renewed purpose. When you come to love Root Girl and claim her as your own, accepting her and your humanity, she is transformed just as you are. Then all manner of magic begins to arrive in abundant form. Look for the beauty. More good things will come to your life as you learn to embrace the root girl, your shadow part. Well, I hope it has given you some insight and some inspiration. I look forward to seeing you again in our next readings. Until that time, may God continue to bless your ways.